That works.
Hey guys, we're here for our next session. We have Coley, CEO of Binance US. She'll be doing a talk on freedom from fiat, so specifically fiat on and off ramps. Can you guys confirm that you can hear her? She's going to do a deeper, just talk a little bit more.
Hello. Can you hear me now? Can you hear Warren Buffett in the background? Hello. All right. I can hear myself. Yes. All right. Welcome. Well, you guys are the troopers. It's Sunday at for East Coast 8 o'clock, West Coast 5 p.m. So I appreciate you guys all still being in this room. Oh, hey, some familiar faces in there. So good to see. Good to see you guys. Oot. Yes. People I'd actually like to meet in person. Can we get any chance of people jumping in here and chatting? All right. Well, I will get quickly started just to give you guys a quick overview of what I'm going to chit chat about. And then we'll open it up for about 15 minutes of questions, because I'm sure you guys have some questions and it's more fun when it's interactive. It's 2 a.m. in Poland. Die hard. I love it. You guys are the best. My name is Catherine Coley. I run Binance US. It is an easy place to buy, trade, and earn cryptocurrency here in America. And it's one of the unusual things where it is actually specific to America and catered to a US user, which is a little bit different versus the routine Binance persona, which is really exchanging the world, building out a way for everyone to partake in digital assets globally. And the one thing that we had a little bit trickiness was around the difficulty in certain local environments that it takes in order to launch an exchange. So one of the things that we focused on is something that actually let us now begin to spread Binance's technology as a service and implementing something called Binance Cloud. So Binance Cloud is a great way to allow users to local areas to be able to raise their hand up and say, I want to run, the best leading global technology and digital asset trading, and I'm going to do all the legwork for you. But I get to leverage that technology. So it's a little bit like what you're seeing with the launch of Binance Korea. You're seeing the launch of a few others that are kind of popping up around the space. So Binance US is a little bit different, but I can walk you through the steps that it took in order to set up a fiat on-ramp. Some of the things that are difficult are each country has its own way of sending its own fiat currency. So in the United States, we have something called ACH, which allows for a faster payment method from within the states. But that doesn't exist in Canada, and it doesn't exist in Mexico, and it doesn't exist really anywhere else around the world, which is a huge part of why digital assets like Bitcoin would be convenient, where everyone has kind of the same metric that they're going to be able to be using. For us, we have in the United States, the US dollar, and it travels through rails like wire payments through banks. And that would be internationally sent through something like SWIFT. Or we have ACH, which allows for same-day transactions to take place in smaller sizes with less fees. So when we're building out our platform, some of the things were critical of how can people get their local currency into a platform to be able to buy and sell and earn and trade digital assets. So the big things for us in the United States were how do we get the typical ramps that people get into or people spend their own fiat currency. And that comes down to debit cards, ACH, and wire payments. A lot of people raise their hands and say, why not credit cards? And frankly, I choose not to be a gatekeeper for anyone's access into digital assets. I really just want to be able to provide a platform that is reliable, stable, secure, and gives them the right access they need in order to buy certain coins of their choice. But when it comes down to credit cards, it's a little tricky because you're basically buying digital assets with money that you don't have. So debit cards are a little bit more reliable in terms of making sure that the people that are buying and selling on your platform actually have those funds. And that's something that's super important when you're creating a healthy market. It's just the ability for people to be able to use their own currency, convert it in, and then be able to change back and forth. And whether they're going from BTC, then BTC into XRP or XRP into ETH, just all of the routes to which someone would want to be partaking in these digital assets, we want to be able to open those doors and provide to them. So there are a couple of ways that we've broken down how we're offering dollar pairs. We've got over 30 cryptocurrencies with dollar pairs or dollar trading available. And we also implemented something like that's really easy to buy crypto. It's on the app. Got it here if I can open up my phone. Sorry, it's not used to me. I normally have a mask on, so I'm not used to it being so quickly through. But so here's our app, and where we have a click, easy buy and sell button for crypto. One of the things we realized is sometimes people just want to get in to cryptocurrencies. They don't necessarily want to see an order book or trade it. So how does this kind of break down into the psychology of who's coming to our platform is something that we really focus on. What have we done well in the past that has been able to bring in more users and have more users have a satisfactory experience? And one thing that Binance has done really well is cater to a retail user. So that's where we were kind of listening to what American users really want and saying, okay, they want an easy way to buy and sell cryptocurrency. Let's make it for them on their homepage. Let's make it for them on the app. Let's make it easy enough that you can open up your Brave browser and it's right there. And so those are kind of the steps that we're taking in terms of easing the difficulty that it is to take dollars into digital form and take them back out, or not out. I had a message today. My Sunday was riveting. I was looking over tax forms and kind of going, okay, what is out there that exists in the crypto tax land that is making it easier for people? And a lot of people just wrote back, like hodl Bitcoin. And I was like, yeah, that's fine. But there's some people out there that are definitely going to want to be selling, and some people out there that are definitely going to be, having to navigate taxes easily. And those are all my users. So anyone in the United States is going to have to be responsible for this and pay it. How can I make that experience easier for them? So those are some of the elements that we break down when we're looking at, okay, if you're going to be introducing something to a local audience, what really are their pain points? What are the things that get them excited? What are the items that they're used to? We're coming in really late to the game here with digital assets in the United States. It's no new thing. So for us to launch in September 2019, there have been some platforms that have been well open and launched way before us. What do they have in terms of an advantage? Well, they've certainly got all of their licenses, or they've chosen not to have the licenses. And that's a step that we're going through as well. So going through your state money transmitter licenses is a really tough step to be able to get operable in each state. We right now operate in about 37 states, but there are 13 mega ones that we are not operating in. And I hear you every day. I'm working on it. But there's really, those stringent regulations that come down to a state level, not just a federal level, that we have to cater to. And so those are some of the things that when you're looking at launching a fiat exchange, you have to be able to navigate. And as we see more emerging markets open, there's a better footprint more likely on the local side. I'm so sorry. I saw the Hawaii in there. Hawaii is really, really tough. I'm hoping they just got some more guidance that will hopefully ease up the ability to get a license there. But it's always been a notoriously tough state. So that's really tough. But pretty nice place to quarantine, I guess. The elements that you're looking for in terms of a local team that can drive it are ones that can manage the compliance factors that you need locally. We abide by BSA or Bank Secrecy Act here in the United States, as well as our AML program, anti-money laundering, and then have fit in the KYC components that allow us to be able to see U.S. driver's licenses, see proof of address that can read all of our addresses from the states that we operate in, but also from Puerto Rico, where we operate in, which has a little bit different of an address style. And then beyond the compliance side, being able to understand the local regulations. So we've got a team in DC that's been doing all of our regulatory work. We're members of the Chamber of Digital Commerce, as well as working closely with some other alliances that are really putting the right foot forward in terms of U.S. regulation, which, as we know, has been tricky and quite uncertain. And so as we step forward in this space, we're kind of laying down the foundation that's necessary in order to build the best technology for our users on top of it. So some of the things we've brought over include the rapid, fast matching engine, as well as some of the features that you see in terms of like buy crypto and sell crypto easy functions. So those are where we take certain elements and divide what can be kind kind of spread globally in terms of a standard of a model for marketplaces that involve digital assets and local currencies, and then comparing it into the United States. So getting the ACH, getting the debit cards, getting the comfort around users being able to access with Plaid. That's one of the things that most American users are already familiar with and expect it to be kind of the way that they access their banks, is through that interface. And then the other elements. So I'm quite curious right now to see what else folks want in terms of what they're looking for on a US platform. But a lot of things come down as well to what is topical or what is happening in these times. So we've seen some really great movement, especially around, courtesy of this, the DeFi world, of really where people are able to spend and get kind of worthwhile yield out of trading different pairs. So we've launched staking as well. We have that across 3. And it's something that's interesting, just the adoption of people being able to see, is staking making more sense to them than, say, buying the dip or catching the right price at the right level, entry level for Bitcoin. Trading style isn't necessarily discriminated against in staking. You just kind of need to be able to have a deposit of it on the platform. So that's really one of the unique things, especially down in the world of kind of what's next, or what are we seeing beyond just spot market and open trading, is that nuance around what kind of more people can get out of. So I'm curious to hear any other questions that you have. Binance US is only a few million in volume. That's what happens when you can't. Yeah. Well, that's it's kind of real that we've launched into a market that is already well catered by several, dollar-based marketplaces. One of the things that we're looking at is how can we address people in the real time right now. So what are they really concerned about in 2020? What is it that the functions would be more helpful than, per se, if we had built this back in 2012? First of all, Binance wasn't even around in 2012, so we would not have the tech stack that we can license and leverage right now. But there's been kind of that kind of conversation around what else is there that US users particularly will need or want us to be customizing in order to make it a really useful fiat on-ramp. So more recently, the ability to spend your stablecoins. So we've working with BitPay, and that's another way of completing the cycle. So fiat in, trading pairs available, staking and certain referrals and rewards, and then the ability to spend that. And I think that as we get more familiar with that cycle of really how money operates and how it operates in our lives, we'll be able to make it more seamless into a digital form. So please come out with gift cards that can be purchased at stores. You're going outside your house? I certainly think that there is a great way of being able to mainstream some components of digital assets in that kind of seeing it in a store or seeing it, right next to a Butterfinger or a box of gum. That would be something that we would just be able to get more eyeballs on it. Unfortunately, in this time, that's probably not where our energy is best spent, given the, lack of retail flow going through real stores. More stablecoin support, easy on-ramping, incentives to hold stablecoins. I agree with you there. We're seeing a lot of things, especially with marketplaces locally, being able to rely more heavily on their stablecoins, because although it seems a little bit redundant here in the United States to be storing things in BUSD, if your local currency is not as prevalent as the US dollar, it can really be something that would be a little bit more of a stabilizer, or something that would help you base your own businesses or your own store of wealth as something. I think that's kind of the conversation you've seen a lot of people go through is Bitcoin the right store of value, or what is kind of the right mechanism to which we get things trading in a more realistic sense. It's pretty tricky though, because the US dollar has been printing pretty rapidly since I've been stuck inside. So I think that we're going to be seeing a little bit more momentum into digital assets, purely for the reason that there's more money in the system, and more people are going to have less faith in that as a inflationary state. Do you think stablecoin volumes will continue this rapid uptrend if Bitcoin and non-stablecoins continue this trend? That's a really good question. So the idea that you're having more people flood into stable coins is because the volatility of the previous assets was too much for them to handle. So the idea that, okay, yes, every time I spend $1 and buy Bitcoin, the rapid fluctuation is too much for me. I don't think I'm ready for digital assets. That does end up losing a user. Whereas if you say, okay, you're learning about how digital assets work, try a stablecoin, you're not going to lose anything. You also saw a lot of stablecoin activity build up when people were taking off their positions and not wanting to take it completely out of the system. So I think that's what we really saw as something that was an uptrend of people saying, okay, I don't want to go completely out, but I'm really nervous about, the current state of this entire market. Let me just put it in a stable coin, which is going to be faster on and off a platform rather than dollars. So although dollar on ramps are getting faster and faster, it still takes about, almost a whole day to do a wire. And if you're trying to do a wire on a weekend, it's not likely. And if you're trying to do ACH over the weekend, we'll help you be able to instantly trade. But you'll have to hold your funds there for 10 days after you do that transaction. That's to make sure that the trade's clear after the weekend. Questions. Do you know if Binance is planning to open up in Canada? Do you also offer crypto to Fiat? You have such a calm, collected opening and inviting composure. What's your secret? This is me. That's it. There's nothing here. Maybe it's Maybelline. Come on, guys. Let's focus on what's real out there. So we do offer crypto to crypto. We have BUSD pairs as well as Bitcoin pairs. It's funny. Our Bitcoin pairs, which you would think are some of the largest traded out there in the world, BTC against everything else, are actually really quite anemic on our platform. And it just kind of shows that most people have their forms of trading, whether it's crypto to crypto, kind of settled. But for the new folks coming into the space, wanting that first dollar on ramp, that's really where we become a sweet spot. We have some of the lowest fees in the United States in order to allow that. And that was on purpose. I really hated paying huge fees when moving, dirty fiat money into digital assets. And I didn't want that to be a hurdle for anybody else going through this process in their head. The components that we are thinking, and I'm open to learning more, are what other pairs are useful for folks if you realize that when you list a new pair, you have to have a huge amount of liquidity in order to handle that trading to go through. And that requires quite a lot of, from a business perspective, costs. So whether it's, you're pre-funding the amount in order for people to buy it instantly, or you're having to have, adequate market makers on that pair in order to make sure that if someone were interested in selling a big chunk of the coin into another crypto pair, that trade would have enough liquidity to facilitate the buy or sell order. So we think about those things, especially going through all of we run everything through a digital asset risk assessment framework, which gives us kind of an understanding of where this coin works in terms of the US audience. And there's certainly some components on that where we're going to have to, seek counsel and understanding. And that's really what we're making sure that we're providing for our US users, that everything has been vetted through, everything has been put forward to have a liquid market, or a healthy market at least. And then we're being able to provide that for folks through our platform and our app. So our app has been really what we've seen the strongest growth so far, especially in quarantine, people stuck at homes, seeing prices rally on CNBC and other stuff and following Twitter and realizing, okay, I just want an easy place to go in and partake in this or watch it and set price alerts and kind of go through that. So that's really been where our core is focused. Folks like you and me that want to be able to access crypto easily, don't want to have huge friction or huge costs to the process, and still want to make sure that there's that security and the ability to know that we're able to interact with US dollars and digital assets in a way that the rest of the world is already trading. So our goal is not to leave America behind in this process as digital assets begins to take over. And definitely heed your advice and feedback, because that's really what we're really focused on. Serving something that you need now, not something that other people want to have built or think that it's going to be useful. We really care about what our users are facing, and that's kind of our secret sauce. So that's what keeps me calm and collected. I've got great users around the US that tell me what's up and what's on their mind, and then I go figure out how to build that for them. Thanks, Bitcoin Jack. I don't think I stand by that, but no, the big reason why I took on this role is my last job in crypto was really focused on all the key components of an exchange. So understanding the market makers, understanding the buyers, understanding those folks that naturally had, a keen interest in navigating digital assets, as well as a hunger to make a platform I actually wanted to use. So I, had been burdened by a lot of things. From the past experiences, especially in the 2017, being shut down on the KYC, not being able to get in for certain reasons, or having huge fees attached to it. So I just take all of these kind of feedback and try to make sure that we're delivering the best way forward. What's my take on the EU renminbi and Libra, assuming both get released? I agree. Both entities, my opinion, will not stop them. So, I think it's a little bit of a distraction to speculate on both of those because they're going to do what they're going to do. But I certainly think that those two names have such an enormous distribution that we should all be proud of the fact that digital assets is not going anywhere. It was great to see on Billions today the reference of Bitcoin, although they were, I won't reveal any secrets, but it's out there. So, the more we see this as a common thing, the better in terms of my understanding of how people are using it, how people want to be using it, and the fact that this education cycle is one that, took me quite a long time to get up to the par, and I still learn every day from folks, especially in the community on Twitter and folks that have been previously speaking on this discussions. But the components that we still need to get through, financial freedom, that sounds like a ball, just a confusing thing. What is financial literacy? What is crypto literacy? Those are the things that I like to break it, dial it back down. I think, Taylor, you had one of the best things ever to point out different platforms and how much jargon they were throwing. And we have it like posted to our refrigerator right now of like, would Taylor approve of this in terms of a UX perspective? So we're happy to run it through to you, but I don't think we'll score that well because we use confusing things like crypto. So we're going to have to dial it back down and make sure it's available for all users, people that are familiar with getting their own local pairs and understanding how it gets into this digital system. So that's something that I think in the last 2 months we've really been more keen on because of your comments. Any other questions, folks? We'll let you get your evenings back and prepare for probably my Sunday excitement is watching Michael Jordan, The Last Dance. So I have my basketball jersey on representing. But how many employees do we have? We have about 20 people. And fortunately, we've been able to hire outside of San Francisco, given we're all remote working right now. And so we've got a big crew of folks joining us Monday, actually, for expanding our customer support. So that's something that is always difficult when you're dealing with new users and you want to be able to have a local presence, being able to respond to them, give them the answers that they're necessarily wanting, as well as being able to understand where they're coming from. So, it's really tricky to be able to get a customer feedback loop that's really helpful, but one that I think it's totally the way that we need it in order for education to take off, because people need to know what they're doing in terms of using this. Please, your contact, let's open Hawaii. You can contact me at CryptoColi on Twitter. My DMs are always open. There is an imposter with an extra E, so do not fall for that one. But that is about it. Oh yeah, such a good message. You guys should definitely follow that thread. And go through our app and see if we're more difficult. We've been making some active changes on it. Even for instance, we rolled out that easy buy and sell, and we called it instant buy. And someone was like, "Is this a thing? Just call it buy crypto and sell crypto." And I was like, "All right, we're gonna start doing that." But how do you think Binance US compares in regards to Coinbase and the approach of literacy? Straightforward. I created a guide to crypto literacy at the start of this quarantine, and we've been adding to it. We just had one on Trading 101. I got great feedback recently that I need to break it down into even easier buckets. So a beginner, an intermediate, and an advanced bucket. And I think that's absolutely right. I was writing it from myself, my perspective of how I could, how I could share it around a dinner table with folks. And I realized that I've got 5 years of Wall Street background and I've been in crypto for a little while. So even I get the best, jargon gets the best of me too. So being able to explain it really to any audience is what we really are after. And our aspects of making it easy for people, just being able to give them one link that unleashes all the information they have, or everywhere where they can go. That's kind of great. Are you unable to comment on my question? It's the only one you skipped for. Oh my God. No, I'm scrolling. If it's a win, Florida, we don't have a timeline on that, unfortunately. I'm praying that the state regulators weren't impacted so dramatically for their work in order to, keep going through the process that we've put forward. But I can only imagine, it's easy for us in a digital world to take our laptops and plug in somewhere, anywhere. It's not necessarily that easy when you're working for state governments and, you're working on a huge desktop, or maybe nothing's that remote. So I'm really hoping that our state regulators aren't held up too much by this, but you can imagine it's a huge strain on their work. Okay, Jack, I'm going to go find your question. Sorry, just scrolling. Oh, how does Binance pay their employees in places they're not regulated? BNB. Well, I pay my employees in US dollars because we can, because we have a bank account in the United States and we offer US dollars. We're working on ways in order to make sure that we can deliver the ability to offer crypto to users, because I think that that's a really, devout statement of being involved in digital assets is, having skin in the game, being able to say that my hard work is earning me something that's valuable like Bitcoin or BNB. And so we're working on ways like that. My last company did pay in XRP, and, it was interesting. It's so I think there's unique ways that we can continue to incentivize people to keep wanting to build, especially the folks that have joined our team. They come from Robinhood, Western Union, Bitflyer, Shapeshift, EY blockchain. It's kind of our whole team is really in it because we want to see something come through in terms of an easier way for people to access digital assets in America. And so at the end of the day, compensation is one thing, but our team really looks for being able to build that platform that makes sense or clicks for everyone else that isn't already in digital assets.
Maybe we can take, okay, perfect.
Or yeah, anyone has any questions? Sorry, I'm reading one last one that's just a little difficult for me to read. Well, Binance's contribution to crypto, it's difficult to stomach any fees though, since there's competition out there always, and there's folks that are doing it better than others. And I think from our standpoint, we've gotten to a point where I'm comfortable with those fees there. We've tried to lower them as much as possible. We still need to be able to make it so that our platform does have adequate services to it. And, those things do cost. So as much as we try to reduce all the fees that come through, there are some things that are still not there, but where we can provide promotions or supported events to help reduce those fees, we absolutely will.
Awesome. This is fantastic. I'm going to transition to the next session now. Thanks so much for doing this. Really appreciate it.
Have a great Sunday night, y'all. Thanks.
Take care. Bye.